Well, you can't deny that the gap is closing between cinema cameras and prosumer cameras. So that begs the question, why should you even invest in a cinema camera in 2024? Well, I plan to break a few of my reasons down on why I invested in a cinema camera and maybe help you explore why you might want to invest in a cinema camera as well.
I was tempted by your smile.
My name is Aaron and I'm a commercial DP in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I want to talk about owning a cinema camera. I would argue that I could throw up a handful of images from different commercials, movies, or whatever, where they used, all the way from Blackmagic to Arri cameras, and we couldn't really tell the difference. So why should you invest in a cinema camera? I would love for this to be a conversation that we can kind of have in the comments below, so you can share your reasons on why you either have invested or haven't invested in a cinema camera. I think we can all be a little passionate on our opinions, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just keep them friendly. Okay, wow, I was just getting ready to upload this video, and then I noticed that the Komodo-X is currently on sale for $3,000, and it looks like that's not just a quick sell, but like a permanent sell. And so a lot of thoughts. I am curious, is this because Nikon acquired them and they're offloading inventory for a different camera, possibly the same camera but one with the Nikon mount? The other thought is maybe they're trying to be competitive with the C400. I don't know, I'd love to hear your comments or thoughts in the comments section below on why we see this pretty big sell from Red. Now, I am fortunate that I bought the camera used, so I didn't lose money on the purchase, and I have been using it. So, but yeah, you'll hear me talk more about the Komodo-X in a little bit later on in the video, and I think everything I say on why I chose this camera would be even more valid since it's even cheaper and more competitive with other cameras like the FX6 and the soon to come out C400. So yeah, let's get back to the video. So reason number one is it pays to own a cinema camera. Now, what do I mean by that exactly? Well, first off, it helps to have a cinema camera to potentially put you on jobs that they would have pulled a different owner-operator that has kit. Some people, some production companies, producers will hire some people based off the kit they have. And so if you owned an FX3 and someone else owned a Komodo-X or a Red Raptor, and they really wanted the red look for the specific commercial, they might go with that red owner. This isn't always the case, but it's one thing to consider. And then they can charge a kit fee for their camera. And so not only is it kit fee, but you might win out on some jobs because you're an owner operator. I can actually back this up with my firsthand experience on some jobs that I was a production company and I produced, where I hired sound mixers and first ACs because of the kit that they had. Now, reason number two kind of goes hand in hand with that first reason, where you can rent your kit to other productions that you're not even on. Or you might get pulled out onto jobs because they were initially looking to rent your camera and then they find out that you're an owner operator. And so this, like I said, isn't always gonna be the case and is more of the exception rather than just the rule. But sometimes when you rent kit, then they might also be looking for someone to hire while they're looking for that kit. And so if you put it on ShareGrid, you could get additional exposure just because of your camera. But then, even then, if you're not getting hired out, it still makes you money while you're not even going out on jobs. And so if you paid off your camera kit and obviously do the due diligence and vetting and having good insurance, but if you paid off your camera kit, then it can still make you money on jobs that you're not even on. And reason number three, which was probably the biggest one for me, was reliability and usability. And so I'm not necessarily saying that certain cinema cameras are more reliable than prosumer cameras when it comes to one operating better and not overheating. But what I am saying is cinema cameras do have industry standard tools like waveforms, false colors built into the cameras themselves, SDI ports, time code, and gen lock, when most of the prosumer mirrorless cameras do not have those. Even the FX3 has its limitations, and you have to jump up to the FX6 to get certain tools that are built into the camera. There is no SDI port, and HDMI can sometimes be a pain when you need to run long cables or use a more solid connection. Additionally, cinema cameras have tons of modularity where you can build it out to be a really small kit, or you can build it out to be a monster kit with a shark fin that has just non-stop power where you don't ever have to power it off for a 12-hour day, and then it has LEMO ports and time code and all kinds of customizability. That is a complicated word. So those are my main 3 reasons. I would love to hear some of your reasons on why you are investing or have invested in a cinema camera. But let's move on to the camera that I did purchase. This guy right here. I bought the red Komodo-X, and a lot of reasons on why I ended up going with the Komodo-X over either the OG or the FX6. So let's kind of dive into that. I wanna take you for a ride in my brand new car. So this year, my goal has been to focus more on just being a cinematographer or a DP. I kind of got tired of the term videographer because what really came with that when people were hiring me out was people expecting a run and gun solo videographer. And I kind of got tired of doing that work. I had a handful of jobs where I was the cinematographer on them and had a crew to support me, and fell in love with the workflow, fell in love with the work I was able to do, and decided that this year that was going to be my sole focus, was growing that. So how does the red play into that? Well, through a pretty good bit of market research within my market of Dallas-Fort Worth, I realized the type of jobs that I wanted to be on, the type of jobs that I wanted to do, most people were shooting on red. There isn't too many humongous commercials that have Aries out here, and so it tends to be the bigger commercial jobs are often shot on red cameras. So red Komodo can be a B camera for me. If production wants to hire out a red, I can easily add that in as a B camera. Or there are a lot of jobs where they're relying and trusting the Komodo-X as the A cam. The Komodo-X did kind of have a leap in performance from the original Komodo, where it does now become that solid A camera. Now the other reason not going with the FX6 instead was because I just feel like there's a lot more competition of owner operators that have the FX6. The FX6 has been and is often shot on nice commercials, but I just kind of wanted to stand out as an owner operator with something that was less saturated in this market. Now, again, that doesn't mean you're gonna win the job because you have the camera that they want, but I don't think it hurts. And at the end of the day, I rented the FX6 for production, and I rented the Komodo OG actually for production, and my experience with the Komodo on almost every front was significantly better than my experience with the FX6. The FX6 won because of built-in NDs and the 12,800 ISO, but I would say in most cases, I don't really need that. It'd be nice, but I will often have filters, or I also have a crew where I don't need to go all the way up to 12,800 ISO. The production that I rented out, it was essential, and I will continue to rent when I need that camera rather than owning a camera that I love to work with. I could go into more details about how the FX6 actually, I had to shut on and off a handful of times, and if we were in a time crunch, that would have been a big deal. But on all of the shoots that I've had the Komodo, I haven't had those issues. And then the last reason, I don't even know where to begin with R3D codec, but ultimately it's a game changer once you use it. With R3D, I immediately get the image that I have in my head. I've told people, like, until I shot a few jobs on red, I didn't realize that, like, the image I had in my head was more like red, and I'm sure that would be the case with Airy too, but it just tends to get me there a lot quicker. Now, can I do that with my XH2S or the FX3? Yeah, but I think it takes a little bit more work. And you can't argue with 16-bit RAW. You have so much more flexibility to push and pull if the image isn't where you want it, or you just want to more heavily grade it. Now, like I've said, I would argue that the end product doesn't make a huge difference. A good image with a good cinematographer and a crew to support him will look good regardless of the camera system used. But I do stand by kind of some of the supportive things that I mentioned on why I wanted to invest in a cinema camera. But on the other end of things, I don't think that would be for everyone. I would say the FX3 would be a more powerful camera for someone that is looking to do more event coverage and corporate work. If they're wanting to do more run and gun or just solo camera operating jobs. The autofocus, the 12,800 ISO, you can't argue with those things. They make things a lot easier when it comes to kind of those jobs that I mentioned. I would also say that someone that owns a production company or someone that wants to be a director and not a cinematographer, you're better off owning a camera like that, because at the end of the day, you're going to be hiring out a cinematographer or someone else, and you don't have to own the camera and keep up with it and be the one that brings it and sets it up and all that. And so there are certain jobs, there are certain people that would require a cinema camera, and there's people that they don't need one and it wouldn't make sense for them to have one. And so I'd love to hear in the comment section below on why you have or haven't invested in a cinema camera. And if you'd like to see a breakdown of a full production where I had a crew, but I shot the commercial on a mirrorless camera, then you can just click on that video right there. I'll see you guys there.
I'm a stranger.